Section 6 of the Penny Magazine of the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge, Issue 7. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Donald Warren. The Penny Magazine of the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge, Issue 7, by Charles Knight. The Value of a Penny. It is an old saying that a pin a day is a groat a year, by which homely expression some wise man has intended to teach thoughtless people the value of small savings. We shall endeavor to show the value of a somewhat higher article, though a much despised one. We mean a penny. Pennies, like minutes, are often thrown away because people do not know what to do with them. Those who are economists of time, and all the great men on record have been so, take care of the minutes, for they know that a few minutes well applied each day will make hours in the course of a week, and days in the course of a year. And in the course of a long life they will make enough of time, if well employed, in which a man by perseverance have accomplished some work useful to his fellow creatures and honorable to himself. Large fortunes, when gained honestly, are rarely acquired in any other way than by small savings at first, and savings can only be made by habits of industry and temperance. A saving man, therefore, while he is adding to the general stock of wealth, is setting an example of those virtues on which the very existence and happiness of society depend. There are saving people who are misers, and have no good quality for which we can like them. These are not the kind of people of whom we are speaking, but we may remark that a miser, though a disagreeable fellow while alive, is a very useful person when dead. He has been compared to a tree, which while it is growing can be applied to no use, but at last furnishes timber for houses and domestic utensils. But a miser is infinitely more useful than a spendthrift, a mere consumer and waster, who after he has spent all his own money tries to spend that of other people. Suppose a young man just beginning to work for himself could save 1 penny a day, and we believe there are a few unmarried young workmen who could not do this. At the end of a year he would have £1, 10 shillings, 5 pence, which he could safely deposit in a savings bank, where it would lie safely, with some small addition for interest, till he might want it. After 5 years' savings, at the rate of a penny a day, he would have between £8 and £9, which it is very possible he might find some opportunity of laying out to such advantage as to establish the foundation of his future fortune. Who has not had the opportunity of feeling some time in his life how advantageously he could have laid out such a sum of money, and how readily such a sum might have been saved by keeping all the pennies and sixpences that have been thrown away? Such a sum as £8 or £9 would enable a man to emigrate to Canada, where he might, by persevering industry, acquire enough to purchase a piece of land, and if blessed with moderate length of life, he might be the happy cultivator of his own estate. £8 would enable a mechanic, who had acquired a good character for sobriety and skill, to furnish himself on credit with goods and tools to 5 or 6 times the amount of his capital, and this might form the foundation of his future fortune. It often happens that a clever and industrious man may have the opportunity of bettering his condition by removing to another place, or accepting some situation of trust, but the want of a little money to carry him from one place to another, the want of a better suit of clothes, or some difficulty of that kind, often stands in the way. £8 would conquer all these obstacles. It may be said that 5 years is too long a time to look forward to. We think not. This country is full of examples of men who have risen from beginnings hardly more than the savings of a penny, through a long course of persevering industry, to wealth and respectability. And we believe there is hardly a condition, however low, from which a young man of good principles and unceasing industry may not elevate himself. But suppose the penny only saved during 1 year, at the end of it the young man finds he has £1 10s 5 pence. Will he squander this at the alehouse, or in idle dissipation, after having had the virtue to resist temptation all through the year? We think not. This £1 10s 5 pence may perform a number of useful offices. It may purchase some necessary implement, some good substantial article of dress, some useful books, or, if well laid out, some useful instruction in the branch of industry which is his calling. It may relieve him in sickness. It may contribute to the comfort of an aged father. It may assist the young man in paying back some part of that boundless debt which he owes to the care and tender anxiety of a mother, who has lived long enough to feel the want of a son's solicitude. Finally, however, disposed of at the end of the year, if well disposed of, the penny saved will be a source of genuine satisfaction. The saving of it during the year has been a daily repetition of a virtuous act, which near the end of the year, we have little doubt, will be confirmed into a virtuous habit. Suppose a dozen young men, who are fond of reading, were to contribute a penny a week to a common stock. At the end of the year, they would have £2 12 pence. This sum, judiciously laid out, would purchase at least 12 volumes of really useful books, varying in price from 3 to 4 shillings, besides allowing some small sum for the person who took care of them and kept the accounts. Another year's saving would add another 12 volumes, and in 5 years the library might contain 60 volumes, including a few useful books of reference, such as dictionaries, maps, etc. An amount of books, if well chosen, quite as many as any one of them would be able to study well in his leisure hours. But suppose the number of contributors were doubled or trebled. The annual income would then amount to £5 4 shillings, or £7 16 shillings, for which sum they could certainly procure as many useful books as they could possibly want. There might be some difficulty in the choice of books, as it is not always easy to know what are good and what are bad. We suppose to meet this difficulty by occasional notice of particular books under the head of the library. At present, we will merely suggest what classes of books might gradually find admission into such a library. There are now good practical and cheap treatises on the principle of many of the branches of industry which are followed by mechanics, such as books on the elements of geometry and measuring of surfaces and solids, on arithmetic, on chemistry, and its application to the useful arts, etc. Lives of persons distinguished for industry and knowledge, descriptions of foreign countries, compiled from the best travels, maps on a pretty large scale, both of the heaven and of different parts of the earth. Such books as these, with an English dictionary, a gazetteer, and some periodical work, would form a useful library, such as in a few years might be got together. It would be impossible to enumerate all the good things that a penny will purchase, and as to all the bad things, they are not worth enumerating. But there is one which we cannot omit mentioning. A penny will buy a pennyworth of gin, and a man may spend it daily without thinking himself the worse for it. But as every penny saved tends to give a man the habit of saving pennies, so every penny spent in gin tends to cause him to spend more. Thus the saver of the penny may at the end of the year be a healthy, reputable person and confirmed economist with £1 10s 5 pence in his pocket. The spender may be an unhealthy, ill-looking, worthless fellow, a confirmed gin drinker with nothing in his pocket except unpaid bills. We wish it were in our power to impress strongly on the working people of this kingdom how much happiness they may have at their command by small savings. They are by far the most numerous part of the community, and it is by their condition that the real prosperity of the country should be estimated, not by the few who live in affluence and splendor. Hard as the condition of the working classes often is, are they not yet aware by industry, frugality, and a judicious combination of their small resources, they can do more to make themselves happy than anybody else can do for them? End of section 6.